In a recent interview, Senator Bernie Sanders expressed a stark critique of the Iowa Democratic Party, asserting that it bears significant responsibility for the state losing its long-held status as the first to hold presidential caucuses. This remark came during a stop in Iowa City as part of Sanders' Fighting Oligarchy tour, where he emphasized the need for the party to reflect on past mistakes, particularly in how the contentious 2020 caucus was managed. "I can tell you from a very personal experience they did not conduct those primaries as well as they should have," Sanders stated, alluding to the chaos surrounding the reporting of results during the 2020 Iowa caucuses. The debacle was marked by inconsistencies in data that ultimately led the Associated Press to refrain from declaring a winner. A rare occurrence for the reputable news organization. Sanders highlighted that the fallout from such mismanagement left an indelible mark on Iowa's political landscape, contributing to the Democratic National Committee's decision to strip Iowa of its first-in-the-nation status in favor of states that better represent the party's commitment to diversity. The Democratic National Committee's move, announced in late 2022, aimed to elevate black voices in the electoral process and signified a seismic shift in how the party approaches its nominating contests. This decision was influenced by the party's desire to move away from a model that had, in Sanders' view, become mired in procedural errors and public distrust. Looking beyond Iowa, Sanders elaborated on the broader struggles facing the Democratic Party, which he claims has increasingly aligned itself with corporate interests at the expense of the working class. The Democratic Party was long the champion of the working class, he noted, but it has faltered in recent years, alienating the very demographic it once sought to represent. He pointed to systemic issues such as the broken healthcare system and the rising cost of living as critical areas where the party's agenda has failed to resonate with ordinary voters. As Republicans have gained control of major political offices, including the U.S. House, Senate, and the White House, Sanders contended that the trajectory is largely self-inflicted. He called for radical changes within the party, urging Democrats to reconnect with working families and confront powerful special interests whose greed exacerbates the challenges faced by many Americans. In his remarks, Sanders underscored the importance of voter turnout, suggesting that the Democratic Party must offer an agenda that excites and mobilizes the electorate. "You can't create a strong voter turnout unless you have something that excites people," he emphasized, advocating for candidates who genuinely represent the needs of working families. Sanders also encouraged Iowans to engage politically, particularly as they prepare for upcoming elections that may see competitive races in traditionally Democratic districts. He called on residents to hold their representatives accountable, particularly in light of the recent Republican administration, which he believes poses significant challenges to progressive values. As the political landscape continues to evolve, Sanders' commentary raises critical questions about the future of the Democratic Party and its ability to reclaim its historical role as a champion of the working class. With the Iowa Democratic Party now facing the consequences of its past decisions, the path forward remains uncertain. But the urgency for a renewed commitment to grassroots engagement and bold policy proposals is clear. The coming months will be pivotal as the party seeks to redefine itself and rebuild trust among voters disillusioned by past missteps. Mitch McConnell's decision to retire marks a significant turning point for the Republican Party as it navigates a tumultuous political landscape increasingly dominated by the MAGA movement. Announced on his 83rd birthday, McConnell revealed that he would not seek re-election in 2026, concluding a remarkable career that saw him serve 7 terms and become the longest-serving Senate party leader in American history. His departure signals not only the end of an era but also the challenges that lie ahead for a party he helped shape yet now struggles to recognize. Throughout his tenure, McConnell's influence on the Republican Party has been profound. He was a key architect behind major legislative successes and adept at maneuvering the political chessboard, effectively limiting Democratic initiatives during President Barack Obama's administration. Notably, he thwarted the confirmation of Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court, which ultimately allowed President Donald Trump to appoint Neil Gorsuch, thereby reshaping the court's ideological balance. Even during Trump's tumultuous presidency, McConnell managed to steer a seemingly chaotic administration toward significant conservative achievements, including the confirmation of 3 originalist justices and many federal judges, establishing a conservative legal framework that could endure for decades. However, McConnell's greatest challenge emerged from within his party. His inability to extricate the GOP from Trump's influence is seen as a critical misstep. The events surrounding the January 6 Capitol riot epitomized this struggle. As McConnell condemned Trump's actions yet failed to unify the party in favor of impeachment. Instead, he found himself aligning with a faction of the party that branded him a Republican in name only, rhino, for his willingness to criticize Trump. This internal conflict underscores the reality that while McConnell played a pivotal role in the party's past, he could not contain the populist wave that has since swept through it. As McConnell prepares to step down, his departure raises concerns about the future trajectory of the Republican Party. His absence leaves behind a political vacuum likely to be filled by less experienced and potentially less principled successors, which could further exacerbate the party's fragmentation. The MAGA movement, while undeniably successful in rallying the base, poses existential questions about the GOP's identity and coherence moving forward. Observers worry that without McConnell's seasoned leadership, the party may stray further from its traditional conservative roots. Meanwhile, discontent is brewing among constituents that Republican lawmakers are facing in town hall meetings across the country. Voters grappling with the implications of a Trump-led agenda are expressing frustration over perceived overreach and potential cuts to social safety nets. Representative Pete Sessions encountered a wave of opposition during a recent gathering where constituents criticized both Trump's policies and the involvement of billionaire allies like Elon Musk in government affairs. This backlash suggests that the GOP may be at a crossroads, balancing the demands of its base with the need to maintain broader electoral appeal. The Conservative Political Action Conference (CPAC) recently showcased Trump's enduring influence as he received a rockstar welcome from attendees. His rhetoric of fighting against globalists and radical left Marxists resonated with the crowd. But there are signs of waning enthusiasm among younger conservatives. Observations from CPAC reveal a demographic shift with fewer young attendees compared to past years, which raises questions about the long-term sustainability of Trump's brand of republicanism. As the party faces growing disillusionment and potential electoral fallout, McConnell's farewell underscores a critical juncture for the GOP. The coming years will be pivotal, defining whether the party can reconcile its populist impulses with a coherent and principled conservative agenda. With McConnell's exit, the Republican Party is not just losing a leader, it's confronting an uncertain future that will require new strategies and a re-evaluation of its identity in a rapidly changing political landscape. In a striking display of political resolve, the U.S. Senate recently engaged in an all-night session colloquially known as Vote-A-Rama to address pressing budgetary concerns. This marathon voting session is characteristic of the Senate's budget reconciliation process, allowing for an expedited path to pass certain fiscal measures with a simple majority. It underscores the urgency with which lawmakers are approaching the forthcoming fiscal year, particularly in light of ongoing economic challenges and partisan tensions. The Vote-A-Rama, which took place late last week, saw a flurry of amendments proposed by both parties, each reflecting their respective priorities and ideologies. While the primary focus was on the federal budget, the session became a battleground for broader political issues, with senators seizing the opportunity to voice their positions on various contentious topics, including climate change, healthcare, and social spending. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer emphasized the necessity of this unusual procedure, stating, "We need to demonstrate to the American people that we are serious about addressing the nation's fiscal challenges while also investing in the future." The urgency of the situation was palpable, with many senators expressing the need to act swiftly to avoid a government shutdown and ensure the continued funding of essential services. Amid the frenzy of votes and debates, some senators managed to stand out. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, known for his vocal opposition to former President Donald Trump, emerged as a prominent voice during the proceedings. Murphy has been actively critiquing the former president's administration and its policies, particularly those that he perceives as undermining democratic values. In the wake of recent controversies, he remarked, "Our political brand is fundamentally broken, and the rule of law is disintegrating. We cannot let misinformation and lies go unchecked." The impact of the vote-a-rama extends beyond immediate budgetary decisions. It reflects the growing divide within Congress as party lines continue to harden, making bipartisan cooperation increasingly elusive. In a climate where every vote counts, the session serves as a reminder of the stakes involved in governance and the necessity for both parties to navigate the complexities of their constituents' needs while also addressing larger national issues. As lawmakers returned to their states, the implications of the all-nighter were clear. The budgetary process is not just about numbers, it is about the very framework of American governance and the ability of elected officials to respond to the electorate's demands. The session may have ended, but the discussions it sparked will likely reverberate through the upcoming electoral cycles, as both parties prepare for the challenges that lie ahead. Looking forward, the focus will undoubtedly shift to how these budgetary decisions will play out in the broader political arena. With the 2024 elections on the horizon, the stakes are higher than ever for both parties. The need for effective communication of policies and strategies will be crucial as they seek to regain or maintain voter trust amid a rapidly changing political landscape. Thus, while the all-nighter may have settled some immediate fiscal concerns, it also opened the door to a renewed dialogue about the future of governance in the United States. In a political landscape defined by razor-thin margins and strategic maneuvering, recent developments in Albany have drawn significant attention. New York Democrats are reportedly considering measures to keep a critical House seat vacant, a move seen as an attempt to stall any momentum from former President Donald Trump's legislative agenda. This potential vacancy arises as GOP Representative Elise Stefanik prepares to resign her post to accept a nomination as the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. As discussions unfolded among lawmakers from both the state assembly and Senate, the focus was ostensibly on streamlining the electoral process to save time and costs. However, insiders suggest that the primary aim is to delay special elections that would fill Stefanik's seat, possibly pushing them until the June primaries or even the general elections in November. Such a delay could leave House Republicans grappling with a significant vacancy at a time when they hold a fragile 218 to 215 majority, the smallest in a century. Under current state law, once Stefanik officially resigns, Governor Kathy Hochul is required to declare a special election within 10 days. With the election taking place 80 to 90 days after that declaration. However, the Democratic-controlled state legislature is poised to rewrite the rules to their advantage. Hochul, who has expressed support for measures that could increase voter turnout and reduce election costs, may facilitate this change. Republican leaders have reacted vehemently against these plans, framing them as a blatant abuse of power. "This is corruption, the corruption of absolute power," stated Representative Nick Langworthy, while Representative Mike Lawler labeled the potential legislation an outrageous abuse of power that contradicts Democratic claims of protecting democracy. As the situation unfolds, both parties are bracing for the ramifications of this strategic chess game, which could set significant precedents for future legislative battles. In another realm of innovation, the annual Congressional App Challenge continues to foster creativity among students nationwide. This year, brothers Aaron and Ariv Dave from Lowndes County, Georgia, were recognized as first runners-up for their app Red Ove. This application utilizes extended reality technology to enhance the experiences of long-term hospital patients, providing them with a sense of freedom and connection to familiar environments. Their prior successes in the competition, including the winning app ICU Speak, which aids post-surgery communication, highlight their ongoing contributions to technology-based solutions in healthcare. The first-place winners of the 2025 challenge, Michael Dew and Hugh Tran from Houston County High School, showcased their app Signify, which translates American Sign Language to English using machine learning. This year's competition not only emphasizes the importance of STEM education but also showcases the impressive capabilities of young innovators. As these varied narratives unfold, the political and technological landscapes in the U.S. are poised for significant changes. The potential vacancy in New York's House seat could reshape the balance of power. While the accomplishments of young developers like the Dave brothers remind us of the ongoing importance of fostering creativity and innovation in the next generation. With both political and technological arenas in flux, observers will be keenly watching how these developments play out in the coming months. In a significant turn of events within the legal landscape, Rumble and Trump Media have filed a motion in a U.S. court challenging a recent decision made by a Brazilian judge. This legal maneuver comes amidst ongoing tensions surrounding the operations of Trump Media, particularly in relation to the platform's content moderation policies and its implications for users in Brazil. As these developments unfold, the intersection of technology law and political dynamics continues to raise questions about the future of digital media governance. The Brazilian judge's ruling has sparked controversy, as it was perceived by many as an infringement on free speech and an attempt to limit the platform's reach in a market that has shown considerable interest in alternative social media channels. Rumble, known for its commitment to free speech, has positioned itself as a staunch advocate for the rights of content creators. By filing this motion, they aim to contest the Brazilian court's authority over their operations, asserting that such jurisdiction over a U.S.-based company could set a concerning precedent for international legal standards governing digital platforms. Legal analyst perspectives highlight the complexity of this case, particularly as it intertwines issues of jurisdiction, free speech, and the responsibilities of tech companies in content moderation. This case could redefine how international law interacts with digital platforms operating across borders, noted one analyst. If the court sides with Rumble and Trump Media, it may empower other companies to challenge foreign rulings that they deem unjust. On another front, the U.S. Supreme Court dealt a blow to Donald Trump in a separate ruling that has been described as unexpected by legal observers. The court's decision, which came down on February 23, 2025, revealed a divided opinion among justices about the legal ramifications of Trump's actions during his presidency. This ruling not only complicates Trump's legal standing but also underscores the judiciary's role in monitoring executive power. Compounding these legal challenges, a recent Supreme Court ruling granted Alabama residents the right to sue over delays in unemployment benefits, a decision that highlights systemic issues within state labor departments. The court's ruling, which overturned a previous decision by the Alabama Supreme Court, allows individuals facing significant delays in unemployment claims to seek recourse in state courts. Justice Brett Kavanaugh, writing for the majority, emphasized the catch-22 situation that plaintiffs found themselves in, where they could not challenge delays unless they first exhausted the administrative process that was itself plagued by inefficiencies. These legal developments underscore a broader trend of increasing scrutiny on state and federal institutions as they grapple with the implications of their policies and practices. The Supreme Court's decision could have ripple effects across the nation, prompting discussions about the adequacy of unemployment systems, particularly in times of crisis. As more citizens face delays in receiving due benefits, advocacy groups are likely to push for more robust oversight and reform. Looking ahead, the outcomes of these cases may well shape the future landscape of both technology and law. As Rumble and Trump Media navigate their legal challenges in Brazil, their actions could influence broader conversations about corporate responsibility in the digital age. Similarly, the implications of the Supreme Court's rulings on unemployment benefits could lead to significant reforms in how states manage social safety nets, especially as the country continues to recover from economic disruptions. In this rapidly evolving environment, stakeholders across the board, including policymakers, legal experts, and technology companies, will be watching closely to gauge the potential impacts of these rulings. The interplay between digital platforms and regulatory frameworks is likely to intensify, setting the stage for further legal battles and discussions on the rights of users and the responsibilities of tech companies in the global marketplace.